How did a small group of followers, with nothing more than a message of love and hope, go from being outcasts to becoming a global movement that reshaped the world? From the streets of Jerusalem to the farthest corners of the earth, the spread of Christianity is a story of surprising twists. In the next few minutes, we'll uncover how it grew from a small sect to a major force. Jesus of Nazareth is the key figure of it all. He was born in Bethlehem, raised in Nazareth, and became known for his teachings. Jesus wasn't trying to start a new religion. His focus was mostly on Jewish traditions, and his teachings were mostly for fellow Jews. He preached love, forgiveness, and helping the poor, but his message was radical at the time because it went against the way the religious leaders were doing things. His followers believed he was the Messiah, the Savior promised in Jewish texts. So the Roman authorities who ruled Judea at the time didn't like any idea of a Messiah since it could stir up trouble. This led to Jesus being arrested, tried, and crucified around 30 AD. After his death, his followers claimed Jesus rose from the dead. They began to spread his message, starting with the apostles, like Peter and John. They were regular people who really believed in what Jesus taught and started telling others about Jesus' life. At first, Christianity was just a small group of people within the Jewish community. It wasn't seen as a separate religion, but another sect or group. They didn't have big buildings or temples like the Romans and Jews, so they met in private homes. They called themselves followers of the way. As they spread the word, some Jews accepted the message, while others didn't. This is when Christianity began to grow beyond the Jewish community, and we start seeing the foundation for what would become a global religion. Paul, who was originally known as Saul, wasn't always a Christian. In fact, he was known for going after Christians and trying to stop their movement. But everything changed when he had a dramatic experience on the road to Damascus. He believed Jesus appeared to him, and after that he converted to Christianity. Paul became one of its most passionate and important figures. He traveled a lot and went to places like Greece, Turkey, and parts of Italy, spreading the message of Jesus to non-Jews called Gentiles. Before Paul, most Christians were Jewish, but he pushed hard to bring the message to everyone, no matter their background. This made a huge difference in how the religion grew. His travels weren't easy. He faced a lot of hardships like being shipwrecked, beaten, and thrown in prison, but he never stopped. Everywhere he went, Paul preached about Jesus and started new Christian communities. His travels covered a lot of the Roman Empire, and it helped Christianity spread quickly. Another big part of Paul's work were the letters he wrote. These letters, called epistles, were sent to the Christian communities he started. Many of these letters were later collected and became part of the New Testament in the Bible. Paul's words in these letters helped shape the beliefs and practices of early Christians. Imagine a world without Google Maps. Getting from Rome to, say, Gaul would be a logistical nightmare, a treacherous journey through muddy tracks and unpredictable terrain. Now, picture a network of roads so well built, so meticulously planned, that they stretched across an entire continent, connecting bustling cities with the smallest hamlets. That was the Roman Empire's gift to the world. This road system connected cities, towns, and even small villages, which made it easier for people, including Christian missionaries, to travel and share their message. Merchants, soldiers, and travelers would move across the empire, carrying with them new ideas and teachings. A big factor in spreading Christianity was the shared language. Latin was the main language in the western part of the empire, and Greek was spoken in the east. Many people across the empire knew one or both of these languages. Early Christians, including Paul, could travel from place to place and spread their message because they could talk to people in languages they understood. In the beginning, the Roman rulers didn't like new religions, especially one that challenged their power. Christians refused to worship the Roman gods or the emperor, and that made them targets. The Roman authorities saw this as a threat. They thought if everyone stopped worshiping the emperor and the gods, it could cause trouble for the empire, so Christians were persecuted. They were arrested, tortured, and often killed. The worst of it came during certain emperors like Nero, who was known for his brutal treatment of Christians. Many of them were thrown to wild animals in the arena or burned alive. But here's the thing. The more Christians were persecuted, the stronger their faith became. They believed that dying for their faith meant they would be rewarded in heaven. These Christians who died for their beliefs were called martyrs, and their courage inspired others to join the faith, even though they knew they might face the same fate. Martyrdom was so powerful in spreading Christianity because it showed people that the faith was worth dying for. If you're curious about how these executions began and why they became such a grim spectacle, don't forget to subscribe in this channel. Then it all changed with Emperor Constantine. Before a battle in 312 AD, Constantine had a vision. He saw a cross in the sky and believed it was a sign from God. He decided to fight under that symbol, and he won the battle. Afterward, he became convinced that the Christian God was watching over him. In 313 AD, Constantine made a huge decision by issuing the Edict of Milan, which allowed Christians to practice their faith freely. This was a big deal because it ended the persecution of Christians in the empire. Constantine himself became a Christian, though he didn't force anyone to follow his faith. He helped make Christianity more accepted by giving it legal status and even supporting it with resources. In 325 AD, he called for the Council of Nicaea, where Christian leaders came together to settle key debates about Christian beliefs. This helped unite the Christian church, which had been split on some issues. The real turning point came with Emperor Theodosius I. In 380 AD, he made Christianity the official state religion of the Roman Empire with the Edict of Thessalonica. This made Christianity the law of the land, and anyone who wasn't Christian was seen as outside the empire's main religious practice. Theodosius even banned traditional Roman pagan rituals, pushing Christianity to the forefront of Roman culture. From that moment on, Christianity was the religion of the entire empire. Constantine and Theodosius helped set the stage for Christianity to grow and spread, eventually reaching every corner of the Roman world and beyond. After Christianity became the official religion, many parts of Europe hadn't yet accepted it, and that's where monks and missionaries came in. These men traveled far and wide to bring the Christian faith to places like the Germanic tribes, the Celts, and Scandinavia. Monks were the backbone of spreading Christianity in Europe. They lived in monasteries and went on missions to share Christianity with tribes and communities that hadn't heard of it. They were brave, constantly walking into dangerous areas, meeting people who didn't know Christianity and trying to convert them. In the 6th century, a famous missionary named Saint Patrick traveled to Ireland where the Celts lived and helped spread Christianity there. Similarly, missionaries traveled into what is now Germany and Scandinavia, helping tribes and local people embrace the religion. Over time, the teachings of Christianity became part of these cultures, though it often took centuries for it to fully take hold. Then, things changed again in the 15th century. European countries began exploring and colonizing lands far away. As Europeans traveled to the Americas, Africa, and Asia, they brought their religion with them. Missionaries often traveled alongside colonizers, eager to spread Christianity to the new lands they were taking over. In the Americas, Spanish and Portuguese colonizers brought Christianity to places like Central and South America. They set up churches, built schools, and made sure the native people were taught Christian beliefs. At the same time, Christian missionaries were spreading the faith in Africa and Asia, especially in places like India and parts of China. Christianity became part of the colonization process, sometimes being used to justify the taking of land and the treatment of native people. The spread in these regions, however, also led to a lot of cultural exchanges and new forms of Christian traditions that blended with local customs. In the 1500s, a monk named Martin Luther started the Protestant Reformation. Luther didn't like some things the Catholic Church was doing, like selling forgiveness for sins. He wrote down 95 complaints and nailed them to the church door. Luther's ideas circulated quickly, helped by the printing press. More people began to question the church, and new Christian groups like Lutherans, Calvinists, and Anglicans formed. This movement spread from Europe to the Americas and other parts of the world, as people carried their new beliefs with them. At the same time, the Catholic Church responded by trying to fix some of its issues. By the 17th and 18th centuries, Christianity had spread far beyond Europe, reaching many parts of the world. Today, Christianity is still very active around the world and has become deeply rooted in places like Africa, Asia, and South America. In politics, they also have a strong voice. Churches and religious leaders often influence government decisions, especially on topics like family issues, healthcare, and poverty. In countries like the United States, churches can even affect elections and policies. It took 283 years for Christianity to go from his teachings to being accepted by the Roman Empire in 313 AD. The rest is history.